Welcome back, everybody, to another IPT2 podcast. So, today I am coming from location. I'm out and about, and it's a nice sunny day. Things are going well, and it makes you feel good in those kind of occasions when you can get out of the gym and actually get some sunlight. Now, that brings us on to today's subject, which is mental health. And specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about men's mental health. Now, the reason for that is because of an article that's came out recently, and it details a very touchy subject for a lot of people. Something that's not always the nicest thing to talk about, and that is suicide in men due to the mental health of them. So, as we go through today's podcast, I'm just going to refer to this article. So the article is Suicide in Men and New Initiatives highlights the roles that health clubs can play in prevention of suicide in men. So men's mental health is often overlooked, and the figures are higher for men than women when it comes to suicide. Also, loneliness is more prevalent in males, and this has all come from the University of Sunderland, where a psychologist said that we need to be better at listening to what men are saying. So, it would be stupid of me to try talk about women's mental health specifically. Now, we all have mental health in different degrees. It's going to sometimes be when we have things in commonality that we can talk about that, but specifically men and women have different issues that they need to deal with in life, and that brings up its own mental health problems. So yes, we can talk in commonality sometimes, but it's also sometimes better to talk from the perspective of that person. So as more and more people join gyms to support their mental health, it's become apparent that some men need additional support, as the male suicide rate in the UK is currently the highest it's been since 1999. According to the Office of National Statistics, in 2003, the male suicide rate in the UK was approximately 17 in 100,000, as opposed to just under 6 in 100,000 for women. Women are more likely to report being depressed than men, at 19% versus 14%. However, men rarely seek help, so this might not be a good representative figure. The other thing that men tend to have more of is loneliness. So loneliness is more prevalent among men than women. In 2021, 32% of men reported feeling lonely compared to 22% of women. Men are more likely to report severe loneliness, which increases as they age, and are less likely to confide in someone that they are lonely. In response to this crisis, the University of Sunderland held a free public lecture recently, led by 3 of its psychologists, Dr. Rebecca Owens, Dr. John Rees and Dr. Mark Ord, to discuss male mental health. The event was in collaboration with Space Northeast, an organisation supporting men in the northeast of England who are living with depression, loneliness and anxiety. So these kind of things, obviously, if they're more prevalent, the gym plays a massive role in helping that. This is where you as an instructor can help build communities. You as a personal trainer can help build your own smaller community of training clients. You can give your clients somebody who, they're paying for your services or are paying for the gym's membership, but they are also then part of your group of people. Not necessarily friends, but it does help with the loneliness, having somebody to talk to, and that's why sometimes you're the best thing that happens in that client's day. You're the best thing that happens when they step in the gym and see that you're there. This is why we can't take conversations with members lightly. be it members of the gym or members of your PT client base. When we look at the depression and anxiety side of it as well, we know statistically that if you're going to the gym, you're going to feel less anxiety. You're going to have more of those good endorphins, those good hormones floating through your body, and that helps with the depression. It doesn't take it away, but it helps. And that's why we've got to help people get out of the house, come to the gym, and sometimes we have to be that pillar of support for them. So, looking again at the article, the event covered the crisis in male mental health, the rise of incel culture, and questions about masculinity and identity, suicide rates, social isolation, and cultural expectations, as well as how they can be better supported. Ord said, men and boys have a complex and nuanced psychology. Rapid changes in social structure, especially around the meaning ascribed to masculinity in men, often pose many challenges to male mental health. This creates unique mental health challenges that often do not get the attention they require. So to break that down a little bit further, if we go back to the 90s, back to the 80s, back to the 60s, back to the 50s, the role that males in general played in the dynamics of social structure was very much provider roles, very much worker roles. You worked, you went home, you went to provide for your family or provide for whoever it was you were providing for. And as the social structure has slightly changed since then, or dramatically changed, let's be perfectly honest, since the 60s, we see the male role can sometimes be split into massively different areas now. Yes, they still need to be providers, but also they need to be the protectors that they once were. And not everybody can be a protector in this day and age. You know, we live in a day and age of connectivity and being able to, you can't really protect somebody online, for instance. That's a hard thing to do. You can put up all the kind of things you want, but it's hard to protect somebody online. So that brings its different element to the role of protector. Provider, it's harder because we're living in a generation where we are typically not paid well enough, especially in the UK, where people are finding it hard to make ends meet. And the pressures of trying to live up to a social media culture as well, where everybody showcases the finest moments of their life, but that's not their entire life. But that's what everybody thinks that life should be, so they strive for this. When back in the day, when there was no social media, there was less pressure to have that TV or that PlayStation or whatever it is that people are showcasing to say, look at me, I'm wealthy, I've got everything I need in life, blah blah blah. All these pressures, then the changing dynamic of masculinity and what it is, these are all things that have led to this kind of mixed up message to younger men, younger boys, about what masculinity actually is. Again, with different cultures. They mentioned the incel culture. There's also the red pill culture. There's the culture of being too alpha male dominated. There's the whole different subsections of the male psyche that people tell you there's sigmas and alphas and betas. again, these are all things that just add confusion to the mental health part of being a male. And then there's the added pressure now, which females have obviously had for a long time, to look a certain way. There's the pressure on the males to have a six pack and be tall, 6 foot, have a good job that can support somebody else. These are all things that really males worry about, and makes them feel less of a man if they can't provide in a lot of cases, not in all cases, but even just providing for themselves. So this university ran a project to examine what help organisations provide for men's mental health in Sunderland, and is hoping to be able to make more specific suggestions about how to support male mental well-being when it concludes. One of the reasons male psychology is a major research focus for the university is that we do not have a good answer to the questions of why it's happening. And again, I kind of just covered that with a little bit of my opinion on things. I'm sure other people have opinions on it too, and I'd love to hear them in the comments, or even if you drop us a message on them. The article continues, my personal opinion is that perhaps we need to listen better to what men are saying. In addition, we need to consider that mental health is everyone's business, and we need to work to overcome the stigma associated with mental illness that prevents people from seeking help. Now, I will say this, and everybody says it, but if you are struggling, it really should be a case of reaching out for help. Now, you're not going to like it in most cases, and it is going to be the last thing you want to do, but reaching out and actually telling somebody the truth about your struggles is going to help you stay with us and stay for longer. It might not solve problems, but it definitely will start the process of getting the help you need. So please bear in mind to always contact your GP, speak to your loved ones, and if there is nobody else, then IPT is here for anybody who needs it. So drop us a message. We want to help everybody we can. Now, the next part of the article says, health clubs are already helping. Research has shown physical activity can ease symptoms of depression and anxiety by releasing feel-good endorphins, providing a diversion and from the rumination, boosting confidence and giving the opportunity for social interaction. To have more impact, the sector needs to broaden its reach to men who aren't currently active and empower fitness professionals to talk to men about their mental well-being, as well as signposting them to agencies if they need help. Now, obviously, I mentioned going to your GP. There's the Samaritans. There's so many different organisations out there that can help, and just having somebody to speak to is that help that a lot of people need. Now, one thing I will say is it's not a personal trainer's job to deal with psychological elements. That's why we have psychologists, and especially if there's something you're not comfortable or confident talking about, it's probably not a good idea to give advice. But certainly have talks with your clients and members. Make sure that you're engaging with people and not just letting them be left to their own devices. Sometimes a chat and a smile can make somebody's day, and you don't realise that, but it really does. And from the standpoint of what you do, that is something that should just be the bare minimum, to nod and express yourself to other people to let them know that they're seen. Now, the article obviously said that we need to do more to get inactive males into the gym, and that's a very hard thing to do, because a lot of the time the struggles that males will have is in affording things like the gym. The gym then becomes a luxury, Personal training can also be a luxury for some people as well. So with that in mind, what is the solution? What are the things that you could personally do that might help get inactive males who need support into the gym or even being active? You can put on running clubs, you can put in learning to lift clubs. There's so many different things you can do, but the reality is that if you are wanting to give support, if you're looking to give support, there might be ideas that you can have that other people haven't. So remember to share your ideas. We're all in this together essentially, and I think it's a really good idea to share those best practices to try help as many people as we can who are struggling. I certainly don't have the answer for how we get the inactive people into the gym. I would love to see more people going to the gym, more people doing personal training, not just courses, but personal training itself to learn how to lift and be healthy. You know, personal training isn't going to be for everybody. I get that. But we are there to help. And yes, it comes at a cost, but that cost can really make a difference to your life. So to end this off, I don't have the answers, but I am one of those people who wants to help everybody they can. And I think you are too if you're listening to this. So whatever ideas you have, stick them in the comments. Remember to like, share, and support IPT too. Remember that you're not in this by yourself. You're never alone, and we are always here for support. So if you need it, let us know, and we will be here to help support you. So until next time, take it easy and keep on being healthy mentally, physically, nutritionally, and spiritually. See you all soon. Bye.